everybody. If you're new here, I live in my vehicle after a venomous spider bite left me disabled. And quick mention, I have my GoFundMe and Venmo information in my bio. I'm saving it for a hybrid to make it easier to live in my vehicle. So this is just a walk down memory lane, I guess you could say, kind of video. When I was growing up, we were in Girl Scouts. My mom was my leader, and my dad was actually a rappel master and a zipline instructor. And that way, whenever we wanted to go rappelling or ziplining, we didn't have to find one. And we went camping all the time. Particularly, all the time I was growing up, but when I was younger, like in grade school and middle school, we would stay at Girl Scout camps, and we had what they called permatents, meaning it was like basically like a pavilion. It was, raised up off the ground like 4 or 5 feet, and it had a wooden floor and a wooden peaked roof. And then instead of sides, it had canvas that rolled down. And then there were 4 cots and 4 camping mattresses. I use the word mattress loosely inside. And then we had like a campfire ring, and then we had latrines and an outdoor, it was like a horse trough with sinks. And then a big giant pavilion with tables and a fireplace and all that kind of stuff. And man, we had so much fun, and we were almost always in the woods. And what I remember the most is like those, even when you would roll the sides down and we would tie them like you do on a sailboat, when we would have thunderstorms, it would still, they would billow open like sails, and rain would come pouring in on us, and it'd be windy and cold. Lots of campfires. I became an expert. You give me one match, and even with wet wood, I can start a fire, and we will all have a hot meal to eat. I also became an expert at cleaning latrines. I realized really early on that a lot of people are grossed out by the latrines. They were basically just pit toilets, right? And it was really creepy. You're sitting there, particularly at night, you're going to the bathroom and you look up, and it's like a dozen spiders in webs above you. And we're in the woods. So some of these spiders are big enough to hunt and eat. People eat crabs that size, right? And so people were sort of just half-assed cleaning the latrines, and they smelled, and there were bugs, and blah, right? And I was like, we camped 1 or 2 weekends a month. And so I realized that if I would go in as soon as we got there and do a nice deep cleaning of the latrines, and then I would clean the latrines twice a day. And that got rid of almost all the smell, and it got rid of the bugs. And so it got to the point where whenever we would go camping, I was like, I volunteer latrine duty. And nobody else wanted to do it, right? So everyone was like, yes, you can take it. And as a byproduct, I realized that other people were happy to pick up other chores that I hated. I hated cooking. In exchange for me keeping the toilets clean. And by the time we got to junior high, pretty much all of our camping was in regular tents that you would pitch, in a grassy field. We ran a day camp in our area for a week once a year. And it was a day camp for the kids, but for the older girls who ran it, we would camp there all week. So it was one big giant slumber party in the summer. And we camped some other places with tents, but it was mostly the perma tents, or in the winter. Eventually, Girl Scouts decided that they couldn't let girls sleep in perma tents in the winter. It was too much of a liability issue, or all gonna freeze to death, right? So you could rent one of the buildings on the camp, because during the summer, these camps were all day camps, and anyone could go to the day camp. You didn't have to be a Girl Scout. And so there was always the mess hall, and then a second building, which was the nurses station. And we preferred the nurses station because it was a small cabin with a wraparound porch around all 4 sides, and it had a small kitchen and a small bedroom and an actual bathroom with a flushing toilet, right? No shower, and then it had this big great room with this big massive fireplace, and that's where we would spread out all of our sleeping bags, and then my parents would sleep in the bedroom. And when I think about my happy memories growing up, the vast majority of them are tied to camping or doing other outdoor Girl Scout activities, which is why living in my vehicle, in a lot of ways, it brings up those happy memories because I'm outdoors all the time and I love that. Like right now, I'm looking up and I'm looking at some fantastic mountains. They're so gorgeous. I love that. No real point to this video. Just thought I would share that memory. So I hope everybody had a fantastic day and I'll talk to you later.